welcome to the podcast that buffs your Hearthstone game. This is Velen's Chosen.
Not all who wander are lost.
Greetings, visionaries, and welcome to Velen's Chosen. Whether you're a competitive player, an arena specialist, a deck-building visionary, or just like having a bit of fun, we can help you buff your game and achieve your Hearthstone goals. I'm Grant Gould, goofing off as usual, and joining me from across the North American continent, that's what you call it these days, Eve Martin. How you doing tonight, Eve?
You're like drifting into Surfer Boy there. Is that?
I was. I'm getting back to my roots. You see, I'm a native Californian, actually.
Really?
So, oh yeah, dude, we like talk like this all the time. Not really. We made fun of people who talk that way. We called it, as odd as this is to say, we called that Valley Girl, talking like a Valley Girl.
Oh, we have that saying too. Maybe it's from a movie, because we definitely would call airhead blondes that.
It could be boys or girls. Honestly, so like when Bill and Ted's Excellent
a Valley Girl.
Yeah, yep. When Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure came out, I was like, they're such Valley girls. You know, we kind of just denoted them that way. But
I feel bad saying airhead blonde. It's just kind of a trope because I know a lot of blonde people that are extremely smart, but that was kind of the trope. It's just sort of to lean into it and be all effective and everything.
Could it have something to do with the fact that you're brunette? Like, at least I think you're a native brunette.
Yes, I am. I'm definitely a native brunette. Yeah, probably.
I don't know if anybody else has had this experience. Eve, you can tell me if this has been your case, but like, my wife is a brunette. And she has said things in years gone by. It's not so much a thing anymore, but I remember years ago when we were first dating, like, just kind of had a thing like, why do people always pay more attention to blondes? You know, there was just sort of, I don't know if that's true or if that's whatnot, but I'm just curious if anybody else had that experience. Have you ever thought anything like that?
I think it's almost like a weird circular theory of like people have this idea of what blondes are like, and then women growing up surrounded by that, people thinking this is what blondes are like. Some of them just lean into it.
Yeah, sure.
And then they kind of perpetuate the myth of this is what blondes are like. By like being like, okay, I guess that's what I'm supposed to be. And some people totally go against the grain and they're like, whatever, I'm just going to be myself. But I think there's a certain amount of, you grow up surrounded by these ideas of how you act, and then maybe you go along with it or you don't. And then,
Yeah, I can see that. I think that's kind of cultures at large, right? You know this thing and you either go with it or you don't.
Yeah, exactly. And the same thing with brunettes. Like, there's a lot of things about brunettes as well. So you can choose to completely be yourself or go along with the tropes.
Yeah. We a good friend of mine, his wife is she's a redhead, and we make ginger jokes all the time. She's like, yeah, that's pretty much it, you know. So
like, I've never heard these ones before.
She's like, she doesn't deny it. It's just like, yeah, that's pretty much me, you know. So
I do admit it whenever there's a Canadian trope that fits. I'm like, yeah, actually.
Yeah,
I do agree.
Indeed.
It's kind of true.
So how was your week in Hearthstone this week, Eve?
Okay, so I have a crazy game story. It just happened.
Go ahead.
Was it today? I think it did. I think it happened today, and then I immediately wrote it down so I wouldn't forget the details.
Is that like dreams? Like you have an amazing dream and you have to wake up and write it down, or else you'll just totally forget it?
Exactly. I thought like I would forget the name of the cards and the sequence and everything that happened. So I was like, I need to write this down. All
right.
So
I intentionally did not read this section of the show notes because I want to get like a legit take. Like, what? You know. So go ahead, hit me.
So I'm playing Quest Shaman, and I queue up against another shaman. Only he doesn't pull a quest. So I'm like, maybe this is Murloc's. No. He plays a card that requires you to have a dragon in your hand. It's like if you have a dragon in your hand, gain something and rush. You know that one?
Yeah.
Scale
Same.
Bane or something. Anyway, I'm like, what
Anyways.
is this deck? I have no idea
Sure.
what this guy's doing. And I'm at rank 9. I think he might have been rank 8 or rank 9. So, maybe weird, wild craziness is out there. But anyway, I have no idea what the end game of that deck was. But he had a lot of removal. Like just earthquakes for days and just a ton of stuff. So the craziness starts when I drop Giggling Inventor on board. As you do. And then I go to evolve the 2/1 body, and out pops Harik the Bat.
Okay.
Legendary Warlock card. Battle cry.
It's a 1/1 though,
Fill
right?
your board with copies of this minion. So at first I'm like, oh my gosh, 1/1 body out of what could have been anything. And then I'm like, wait a second. Fill your board with copies of... Wait a minute, I have Bog Slosher in my hand. So I use Bog Slosher to put Harik back into my hand, and now he's a 5/5 because hero power.
Oh.
So next turn, I put Harik out, and he fills the board with 5/5 copies of himself because he's a 5/5 now.
Did he concede?
No, you see that should have happened, except for Earthquake.
Oh.
So he just removes all of them, but I'm like, oh no, wait. Because now I'm just going to play Shudderwalk. Which among all of the battle cries has fill the board with copies of yourself.
Did he have 2 earthquakes?
Yes. So.
Oh no.
Here's the other thing though.
Oh gosh.
While I was playing during the course of the game, I used that battle cry, evolve one of your minions to be 1 mana more than itself. So while Shudderwalk is doing all the Shudderwalk battle cries, he evolves 2 of the copies of himself into living monuments. Which, if y'all didn't know, is a 10 mana 10/10 with taunt.
Oh, with Reborn.
Nope.
No, not Reborn.
Just
Not
10
Reborn?
mana 10/10 body with taunt.
Oh.
So
okay.
2 of those survived the earthquake. So he's sitting looking at like a 10 with a 3 health, but he just didn't have any mana left after all of the things that he was doing. So, And I also had 2 Bloodlust in my hand. So,
Did you cast them both when you killed him?
I did. Because how many times did he remove boards which should have been game ending? I did do that, and then he conceded, and I was like, "This is my crazy game story."
You didn't happen to record that so it can make Trollin, did you?
No,
because that's like Trollin worthy if ever I've seen a game.
Because I don't have anything on when I'm playing to be recording it, right? Like, what would you have running?
You can record if you have an iPhone. There's an option you can record screen. I think that's what Duin does all the time.
Is there? I was playing on my Mac.
You can just record your screen. I'm sure if you just Googled it or
yeah, you know what? I need to look that up because definitely after that was done, I was like, oh, that was so perfect. I wish I'd been able to send that in to Trollin. That's my best crazy
I'm
game
sure.
story
I'm sure
ever.
you could be the second Velen's host to be published by Trollin. Rob got on it one time.
Oh yeah. I need
did
to
a
start
crazy
just
thing.
like streaming when I play, so then I just have it on Twitch anyway. So
I'm too lazy to do that. I mean, most of the time I'm playing on my phone in a place where I'm not even close to a computer. But I always forget to, if I get crazy board states, to record screen out for a second, then push the button, then come back into the game. So I'm afraid something will get disconnected.
to be honest with you, I've been playing it on my phone less and less because I just really like having the option of having things like Hearthstone Deck Tracker and
Oh yeah.
like other things going on. Like sometimes I have YouTube playing or I have like Spotify playing because that helps me not get ragey if I have music. Like my favorite music playing, it's kind of like after I have a hard beat, it just helps me sort of like chill and be happy and move on to the next game without getting too bent out of shape. And sometimes I can just like click off Hearthstone for like 5 minutes and watch a couple funny YouTube videos and then come back.
Interesting. So you say it sounds like you're saying it kind of what's the word? It detoxes you, sort of.
Yeah.
like kind of like an ongoing kind of thing.
It's like I'm a
Interesting.
child with ADHD, and if you just distract me for half a second with something else, then I completely forget that I was super angry about something. At least that's how my son works. Like, all you have to do is take his brain off of that track and skip it to a different one, and he suddenly forgets that he's all angry and upset about something. So that's me. If I can, like, focus on something else. I don't know if it works for you listeners, but just, like, watch a funny cat video on YouTube or something, and then it just sort of goes away. So, yeah, I've been getting really comfortable just sitting in my room with my, like, full-on computer setup and playing. So when I go back to my phone, it's like my fat finger is trying to get the right card, especially with Quest Shaman, which has, like, 1,000,000 cards. And you're just like, no, not that one. Oh, too late. And then that could have been game.
Yeah, that sounds like worthy advice. I'm wondering if that would work. I always just have a hard time sitting down and just be willing to open my computer and log in, because it's so much easier to just pull your phone out and just sit down and just dirtle around on it like that. So
yeah, I'm sure there are people who are super comfortable with it. I think, oh no, Blister Guy plays on his laptop, doesn't he?
Blister Guy most always plays on his phone.
Oh, okay. So the walk to work, it's always on his phone, and he's recording.
Yeah, almost always. I mean, I know he does play on his computer from time to time, but and if he streams, obviously.
Yeah.
But most of his Hearthstone playing on his show, I would say almost all of it is on his phone. Ray, if you're listening, you can give us the direct scoop.
50% or 50%, how much you play. Yeah, but like, I know when we have advised people before on a climb to legend, it's bad to have distractions. It's bad to have a bunch of things playing in the background, even music. Sometimes, like, you have to totally concentrate and focus so much on each of your plays and everything to get, like, the best possible scenario, that we tell people don't be doing anything else while you're playing. But for me, in order to not get tilted, it's helpful.
It's sort of kind of like to borrow from Voltaire, of the best of all possible worlds, kind of thing. It's like, I mean, okay, let's say, yes, in a perfect world, you will play better if you have no distractions. But maybe for some people, no distractions means that they hyper-focus on it. And if it doesn't go the way, or if they put themselves in a position to think a certain way and it doesn't go the way they want it, and they start tilting, is that now actually the best of all possible worlds for them? With no distractions. Maybe, just maybe, a moderated bit of distraction is better for some people, like you said. Because, like, for me, I do better with no distractions, because if I have distractions, I'll lose and I'll still be mad, and I'm mad that I was distracted. You know what I mean? So for me, it's not the greatest thing. But if it's like chilling you out and it keeps your play good, why not? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've got this playlist of, like, uplifting music and, like, beautiful music, and I just play it while, like, turn the sound off of Hearthstone, so it's not, like, clashing, and just, it does, I think it helps me just kind of calm down after a bad loss, or, like, literally any loss, because generally they all make me angry. I have a bad time dealing with losing games in Hearthstone.
Yeah, well, especially if the game takes a while, it's like, oh man, it just feels like you have invested time. We forget. The hardest thing to remember as a veteran Hearthstone player is that when you're playing a game, and in theory it should be you play for fun. But video games have taken such a different character over the last 10 years, or maybe a little longer than that, of where people play it and it's like a skill that they practice, you know what I mean? And when they experience failure, it feels like they've wasted their time practicing their skill, or, you have to really search for the good.
Well, my husband came in and watched me play a shaman game, and he's like, wow, this is like the longest game I've ever seen. And it did. It ended up being like almost like a warrior mirror, how long it was. Because you just have so many options of things to do in that quest. Like, so many times where you can double put spell options into your hand. And just kind of think about how you're going to use them and what you're going to do. Like, so many of the battle cries give you so many more options that it just becomes a really long game against control decks. Like, against priest, against mage. I find myself having really long games. So it does get a little, like, if I don't win that, It did just kind of feel like, oh my gosh, should I have
So-
conceded halfway through? Really?
You brought up something that just kind of made me wonder. So now that we're kind of a week after nerfs, what is your ladder bit experience been around like the 9-10 area?
A ton of
Are you-
druids.
aren't you in-
I had like
Druid
3
everywhere,
druids
right?
back to back, and
Uh-huh.
then a couple paladin that are kind of experimenting with different things. Oh man, against the paladin, I held on to all of the silence I could because when you're offered like random spells, sometimes you get discover a battle cry minion, which is a spell in shaman, and out of that I can get like Ironbeak Owl, which I did in order to beat like all of the eggs that Quest Paladin pulls
gosh.
out.
Yeah.
And here's the clutch one that I just kept pulling over and over and over again. The one that turns
Yeah.
everything into murlocs. Because then they don't get the
Yeah.
death. Because later they pull out Undertaker. And they don't get the death rattle. Like if any of the minions died throughout the game, he pulls out their death
Because they didn't
rattle.
die, they were transformed.
Exactly. They were transformed into murlocs, and then he doesn't get anything. So
Yeah.
basically, you guys, if you're looking for something to get rid of a crazy board against you, and you know it's going to happen eventually, like Priest is going to do it, Mage is going to do it. Anytime you see those spells, grab the Murloc one.
Yeah.
Because
That
if
makes
you get a
sense.
board full of Murlocs and then you just Bloodlust and kill them, that's...
Yeah, for you, it's sort of in your game plan.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, what I have not seen, and I kind of was hoping this was the case, and I'm sorry for anybody who's a mage player out there, but Conjurers going bye along with Luna's Pocket Galaxy getting put back to where it was originally, it made like mage just impotent. Like mage can't do anything anymore.
Yeah, I saw one.
Yeah, I'm seeing a ton of Quest Shaman. I'm seeing Rogue.
I
There's
didn't see
a
any.
smattering of Rogue, and I'm just about at 5 right now.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I've played the final boss like 3 times today, and I just keep getting matched up with a super aggro-y paladin or a super aggro-y shaman, both have with the Murloc package. It's like, gosh dang. I've been playing Quest Druid exclusively this month, nothing else, because I played a little bit of Quest Shaman, and I take that back at front, and I was like, I think I'd rather play Druid because Druid's my jam these days. But Warrior with if you're running the right Druid package, Warrior, you can just destroy them.
I'm trying to think if I've seen any Warrior at all.
I've seen some Warrior. Warrior's still all right. I don't think moving Boom to 9 made it that bad. I don't think it made it. It's okay. I haven't recrafted. I dusted it and I haven't recrafted it because I'm not sure if I ever want to play Warrior again. Now that I've got 500 wins, I'm just seriously considering dusting my entire Warrior collection, but I feel that might be a foolish thing to do.
Oh, no, I
you know.
agree. It's very cool to have a class that you don't play because every expansion you have a ton of dust. If you just pick
thinking
one
about it.
that you don't think you'll play or you don't like, it's actually very lucrative. That's the word I'm looking for.
Well, I mean, I seriously have thought about it because I don't enjoy Warrior. I don't enjoy what Warrior does. I've never enjoyed it. I thought the Taunt Warrior that I finally broke 500 wins with was decent. It was okay. But the whole time I would have rather played something else.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
I don't enjoy Control Warrior. I don't enjoy Pirate Warrior. I don't enjoy any of the versions of Warrior. I think I probably would enjoy Patron Warrior if the original one came back. I could enjoy that because it's just a different kind of deck.
It's so
no
skill
deck has
intensive.
ever been like that. Yeah. And so being able to pilot and like learn that almost like as wanting to learn how to master something, I could go for that.
Mm-hmm.
But that deck's cheap. That deck was not an expensive deck. But anyways, yeah.
I tell you,
I've
Grant,
thought
if you
about
need
it, but-
dust because you're like, you want to play decks and you don't have the gold or you don't have the dust, I think it's a good idea. I will warn you, though, I did that for Druid for years. And then one expansion, they came out with a deck that I liked and I wanted to try and play. And I had to go back and craft all these classic epics. So
Yeah.
there is that one.
Well, I've thought about it. It's sort of like I think it's on the table. I'm just not sure if I want to just throw away a whole class. I mean, because that's what I would do. It'd be thousands and thousands of dust, just because I've had all the Warrior cards forever. Because I oftentimes even pull them. You know. Anyways, I digress. So I guess we probably should get into the news now that we've had story time.
Right. So, Tavern Brawl You played like just the first one to get your things?
That's what I did. I just played the first character boss, and that was it. I didn't complete the dungeon yet.
So you got one classic pack and one League of Explorers pack?
Yeah, it was nice. Some free dust. Nothing amazing. Actually, I lied. I pulled Hogger. I pulled Hogger out of my classic pack. I used to have a golden one, and I wanted something else, so I got a different card that I wanted, and I just pulled a regular Hogger. So I'm this much closer to completing the classic collection.
Oh my goodness. That just reminds me, I went in and killed him in Classic World of Warcraft.
Oh, yeah? Nice.
Yeah, usually you have to get a group to kill him because he's pretty tough. He spawns and then like a whole bunch of little minions around him spawn. Doesn't that sound just like the card?
Knowles?
Yeah, he's got a pack of gnolls that come with him. So, but I was a paladin, so I was like, you know what? I can just do it and heal myself as I'm fighting him. And I managed to take him down solo. So that was cool.
Nice.
But yeah, so you rescue Sir Finley Murgleton from the sand. Is that the first one you did?
I don't remember. I did it on Wednesday, and I don't remember.
Well, Sir Finley Murgleton is like buried in sand, and each turn, like a sand spawns, and you have to get rid of all the sand, otherwise he's immune. But then the hero power at the very beginning of the turn is always do 1 damage to everything on the board. So they're doing damage to their own minions and your minions and the sands.
Huh. I don't remember what it was. I think it was. I don't remember.
You know what? Maybe
I don't even remember doing that.
I should probably.
I played Elise. I remember playing as Elise.
Yes.
But I don't remember anything else. I know that I won. I beat my opponent.
So it didn't really stand out for you, Grant.
No, I'm kind of a killjoy at this point in time. It just, I knew it'd be fine. I haven't been able to play as much. So the time I spent, I played with Druid. I just played my Druid deck and enjoyed that.
Hey, as long as you.
I'm going to buy the content when it comes out.
In Hearthstone. That's cool.
That's the important thing.
Okay, so.
Anyways.
Zephyrus.
What about him? Oh, you fight him?
No. You get like the explorers into your deck when you rescue them, and they specifically made your decks like one ofs so that if it came out of your deck, you'd be able to use it. It wouldn't be like, oh great, I've got this hero card and I can't even use it. So, when you rescue Bran, there's a big huge king crush on the board that attacks you and then turns around and attacks Bran because he's like trying to tame King Crush at this point. It's like you're helping him tame King Crush, so by the end of it, it's like his loyal dinosaur.
So the flavor is awesome, is what it sounds like. Maybe I'll go jump in tonight later on after the show.
And then when you rescue Reno, he's trying to get a handle on his massive Gatling gun of magic, so he's just like shooting random damage everywhere throughout the fight.
How does this thing work? You know?
Exactly. And I got him down really low, and then the next turn, which was his, and he just like does a whole bunch of damage out, he killed himself. Well, he defeated himself, because after you defeat them, like their life total goes back to full, and they're like, oh, thank you so much. And so that was interesting.
Don't know what we could have done without you. Welcome to the Hall of Heroes.
Yeah, I thought it was really fun, but I also didn't play it a second time.
Yeah.
It was kind of like
ladder grinding's a thing.
To go back in. Yeah.
It's still flavor though. I mean,
but it's kind of like the adventures. Like unless you have a heroic version, you don't go back in and play through them again, right?
No, the only time I've ever done that and go back and play through it again is like when I'm preparing for a show, and I want to like go in depth. Like when we went in depth on what was it? The last one,
right?
The League of Evil. What was the name of the run? The dungeon run though was
Dalaran,
Rise of Shadows.
Dalaran Heist.
The Dalaran Heist, yeah. You know, when we did that, I went back and played it to see if my theories were true and if I could beat it easier, and it was. My theories were correct, I think. But that's the only time I go back and play it. But it's not because it's like, this is so fun, because it is work. Like, so figuring out some of that stuff is work. So.
Yeah, I found it relatively easy to get through. Like, there wasn't anyone that defeated me. I made it through in one run. So I think they got it right at that level of difficulty where most people could play through it and have fun. And also the rewards were just for playing it, not for winning. So you'd get your packs anyway, so that's good.
Sure.
But yeah, I really liked it, and I think that's what a Tavern Brawl is made for anyway. It's made for one playthrough, basically. Not for multiple playthroughs. Right, and the next news, they released an update to all regions in order to adjust the appearance rate of cards in Arena. So they're bringing the win rate of Hunter and Rogue down and increasing the win rate of Druid, Paladin, Priest, Shaman, and Warrior. And then Mage and Warlock remain untouched. So the current card buckets can be viewed on the Arena Rules thread here. So that means they have buckets?
Buckets again. So they went back to buckets instead of no buckets. Because remember, that was sort of like the last news.
Yeah.
So, or maybe that's just them inadvertently using that term when that's not what they mean.
That's kind of what I thought. Maybe that as well. But yeah, so trying to bring each class into like a more even keel. It's funny that they didn't touch Mage because Mage was always super good.
Mage has always been strong in it, but I think maybe some of the nerfs. But then again, Arena Mage versus Ladder Mage is not the same. Their
direct damage spells was the thing, right? Because they had so many good direct damage. Oh, right. You're right. The clear spells as well.
It's they have cheap cards that are... Because they were like commons and rares in their AoE or just basic cards. And so you was just higher probability of getting AoE. And AoE is... The rule for so long was if you get offered AoE, take it. Because you may not get offered it at all.
I know probably all of you know this, but AoE is kind of like a gaming term that stands for area of effect. It just means a spell that hits at everything or hits a lot of things rather than a single target spell. It's a many target spell.
And it's not native to Hearthstone. It's in other games.
Yeah, the first time I heard the term was in World of Warcraft because you had single target spells that only hit single targets, which did more damage usually because it was just a single target. But then they had area of effect ones that were like on the ground or like in a circle around you, basically, and did damage to many minions, but less damage. And usually more expensive via mana as well. So that actually kind of works. So if you want to get packs, because you don't want to spend more money on Hearthstone and you're still looking to make more cards, Twitch drops. Will be returning for the remainder of Grandmasters Season 2. So on the twitch.tv/playhearthstone channel, we'll make it rain Saviors of Oldham card packs. At random, once an hour, we'll drop 1,500 packs to viewers who have linked their Twitch and Battle.net accounts. So if you're watching and you have not done that, you're not going to get anything. So you need to go, you log in or create an account on twitch.tv. You go to settings and navigate to connections, find the battle.net section and follow the instructions to connect your account. And then you'll be eligible to get free packs by watching on twitch.tv/playhearthstone. On their website, they have like the times that you're going to need to be watching in order to be eligible. But yeah, and then when the end of season playoffs roll around, they're going to do the same thing for the playoffs. If you watch for 3 hours consecutively or non-consecutively, you'll be granted one Saviors of Oldham card pack. Watch for a total of 6 hours and you get another. And then additionally, another 1,500 lucky eligible viewers will be randomly rewarded with classic card packs every hour. So you could just have it on in the background, although I don't know. Does Twitch kind of have a thing where they notice if you're just kind of idle and like turn it off or anything like that?
You know, I don't know. I don't know how the software works. I'm sure if you have it on and you're in the channel and it's streaming into your feed, it probably works. I don't know if you have to interact in the chat or not. But if somebody knows differently, let us know, because I'd be interested to know that little bit of information.
I think I remember something happening like if you have it on your computer but then you have something else open, like YouTube or something like that, then it knows. Or maybe it's just because it was on a different tab in Safari. Like I had Twitch on one tab and then I had like something else on another tab, and it just kind of silenced it after a while.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so maybe check that out just to make sure you're not setting yourself up for failure and you don't even know it.
Sounds good. And next, let's see. Looks like Blizzard has given us a little bit more information about Saviors of Uldum solo content, the Tombs of Terror.
Did you watch the little video?
No, I didn't see the video.
It was kind of
I did not
corny. You know, the way they've been doing
When is it not?
recently.
I like that kind of stuff, though. I'm kind of a sucker for dad joke type humor.
You should check it out then. It's like very much leaning into dad joke area.
I will. And it's one of those things I'm like, okay, I'm going to put a pin in this for later. And I got some of the data. So it looks like a pre-order is available, which will give you a League of Explorers card back and a random Uldum Legendary. That's pretty cool. Free Legendary when you buy. This is the first time they've done this. They've never given you a free random Legendary from the set. If you purchase the
our lovely patrons paid us this month, and so I used that money to get it. I got it.
Nice.
I did the thing.
It looks like it's cheaper now. His first chapter's free as usual, 700 gold as usual, as it's been since the beginning of the game, or $7 USD for each wing. Buy everything for $15 after launch without the pre-order goodies. What is it before with the pre-order goodies, Eve? Is it 15 or 20?
Well, I don't know, because Canadian, it was like 20 something.
Oh, it'll be 20 American then.
Probably
If it's 20 something for you, it'll be 20 American.
Like that.
Yeah, it'll be probably $19.99. That's pretty typical. There are 4 chapters, each with a plague lord or as a final boss. Those bosses have large health, about 300 or so, and have many final forms and hero powers, but damage you do persists after every battle.
Yeah, so if you don't beat them and you die and you go back in again, they're still at the same health that you got them down to.
That's so interesting. I wonder why they chose to do that. Probably because it would make people really angry. Is one of the bosses named Toki Time Tinkerer?
No, like all of the plagues that we got in League of Explorers, all the plague cards. There's a boss that what's the word I'm looking for? Encapsulates that card.
So like earthquake, or what are the plagues? Poison. Most of those cards aren't even used.
Yeah, I was trying to think of them off the top of my head, and I can't even.
Plague of Death.
Plague of Death.
There
you go.
Silence
right?
and Kill.
Yeah, that's a horrible one. I hate that one.
I haven't seen that one too much. I've seen it a couple times. But...
Whenever I played Quest Paladin, it was like, no.
Because priests, they don't win games by, control. They win games by divine spirit inner fire. So, that's just how you win if you're priest. Because apparently,
your enemy's spirit and crushing it into dust.
Man, no, I had that happen. Somebody did that to me. They put out a cheap minion. I killed it because I was like, oh, it's a priest, better kill it. And then they rezzed it with Psychopomp, and then Divine Spirit Inner Fire on turn 4, 5, or 6, and then punched me in the face for 30-something. And I was just like, oh, I'm so glad I got to play this game. This is great. I was pretty pissed.
You know what I did to mess with one of them? I played Leroy Jenkins early because it put 2 whelps into the resurrect pool.
Yeah.
So the next time Psychopomp wanted to resurrect something, it resurrected a whelp. And I was like,
eat that sucker.
Gamed. Just start putting a couple of those give your opponent a couple minions on the board and then just mess with priest. Because that one that was summon a 1/1 copy of all the minions in your deck, a bunch of whelps came out. It's like, yes.
What's that card? It's is it Flight Master, where it's like the blood elf that like gives a 2/2 griffin to each player?
Oh yeah.
That one's kind of fun to do that too as well.
And the dragon from Witchwood that summons out a guy with poison, like an archer.
Oh yeah.
Is it 2 archers or is it just 1 archer?
I don't remember. I think it's 1.
Anyway, yeah. Let's go mess with priest.
Let's go. Yeah, let's go. Just make priests feel bad. Just payback. So apparently, when you unlock all the chapters and the finale, it unlocks the finale when no one knows what it is. Like it's just kind of mystery content.
The Lich King.
No. And tells really cheesy jokes. Each of the explorers are dual class heroes, which is kind of neat. Building decks with cards from both classes. That's pretty cool. You'll be able to unlock hero-specific signature treasures as you play through the adventure. Also cool. I'm excited to know
You
what
know
those
how
are.
before you had like signature hero powers, and you could unlock them.
Yeah.
Now it's going to be signature
Yep.
treasures that you can pick as you play.
Dang, I'll take that. I'll play that. It makes sense considering the flavor of the expansion. Favorite from Dalaran Heist, the tavern for deck modifications has returned. So Dwayne the Rock Johnson, is he going to be there? Or?
Yes.
The people, is he going to offer a treasure called the People's Eyebrow or something like, I don't know, the People's Treasure Chest, the People's Poison Arrow?
Is this a wrestling reference that I'm not getting that's going right over my head?
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot you're Canadian. Dwayne the Rock Johnson used to be a professional, I say professional in quotation marks, wrestler, right? And everything was the people's this, and he would do like an eyebrow raise and give the people's eyebrow, they call it the people's eyebrow. So it's like one of these kind of things, like one eyebrow down, one eyebrow up, and the people's elbow as he drops and smashes his elbow.
He just called his moves the people's insert word here.
Yeah, because he was just like he thought he was the wrestler of the people.
Okay.
Just look it up on YouTube. You'll see it. Just like Dwayne the Rock, the people's ... whatever. You'll see it and it'll make sense. I'm surprised they haven't picked up the flavor. I wonder if there's like licensing agreements or something like that.
Yeah, maybe.
Twists. So you get. Well, it looks like twists are also in it. So maybe that's a twist. I don't know. Never mind. You can earn, as usual. You can earn packs by completing Wings of the Adventure. 15 packs in total, and a card back. And a golden classic pack at the end of normal. So you beat the normal version. That's kind of cool.
Classic pack. I love golden packs.
I'm down. All that dust to be nice. Everybody's like, "Oh, I'm going to keep my golden cards." Like, you go ahead and do that. It's fine. Earn a special card back from completing the heroic adventure. Better be, or otherwise I'm not wasting my time. The solo content releases on the 17th, so in a couple weeks here. And they're going to trickle out the wings again like they did before. So September 17th, you can play Chapter 1 and 2. On the 24th, week later, you can play Chapter 3. And then October 1st, you can play the 4th chapter and the finale, whatever that is, because we don't know. So there you go. In case you were wondering, the dual classes is Reno Jackson is Mage/Rogue. Elise is Druid/Priest. Bran Bronzebeard is Hunter/Warrior, and Sir Finley is Paladin/Shaman. If Finley was like anything other than Paladin and Shaman, then they just screw up.
Right? Because he's a Murloc. I mean, that just makes sense.
It's like, you had one job to do.
So yeah, the only additional thing is that they said the bosses, you know how we would go up against bosses who had a certain health level would like change and then all of a sudden have a different hero power? That's what they do.
Yeah.
So like at certain stages, they're going to switch and like go into a different form. Like an actual gaming fight, when he's like his second form and his third form and his final form.
Oh, yeah. So it's going to be World of Warcraft-esque. Also, they've done this before where they change forms. It was Kel'Thuzad did that back in the next
Ragnaros did it in Cataclysm.
Did it.
He grew feet.
He grew from a tiny little Ragna baby and then grew into the Ragno daddy.
Because he's usually like the bottom of him is usually kind of like this whirlwind looking thing of just like lava and fire.
Yeah.
And he's like in a pool of lava, but he like got up and started walking around. And this was like, what? No, Ragnaros, he's got feet.
Have you fought him yet in WoW Classic?
No, I have not. I am nowhere near that high level. It takes a lot of grinding.
What's wrong?
Like there are people who went to the hospital.
Yeah.
Come on, people, get up and walk.
Really? They just ground? I mean, like
not eating, not sleeping, not... Yes. When Classic just came out, there were people who went to the hospital because they were a bit too hardcore.
That's real hardcore. Although I'd like to sit down and go, haha, those crazy people. I'm so much better than them. But then I remember back in the day when I used to do that. Not go to the hospital, but like, when you start playing at 5 PM and then you look up and it's 5 AM and you have no idea how much time has gone by.
I have done that.
You're like,
within the last year.
Front row. Eve, are we okay here?
But it's not like I didn't know what time it was. It was like I got to the point where I was like, it's not worth it to go back to sleep.
Devil
at
may
this
care.
point. I might as well just stay up and pretend I got up early. Look, I made breakfast for everyone. Pancakes. And then hopefully nobody asked me how I slept last night.
I am an amazing human. Look at all the things I've done for you. And then you're back in your head, you're like, so when do I get to play again?
Exactly. I made pancakes with strawberries and whipping cream, and everybody don't notice the fact that I'm looking seriously tired today.
He said, Mom, why do you look like you have like black circles on your eyes? No reason.
Exactly.
Don't look at that. Stop that. It's rude. Be raised in a barn? Stop. No, wait. Never mind.
My kids are good. They know. They know I'm a gamer. They've seen it their whole life, so they're kind of just they're used to the things that you have to do if your mom's a gamer. Like if she's sitting there and she's got her headphones on and she's gaming and you need something, you have to physically touch her and wait until she's looking at you. Otherwise, she didn't hear anything you said.
That's fair.
And if she's playing Crucible,
I'm that way without
just
the headphones on.
Just don't go near her. Wait till she's out of the Crucible game and then jump in and go, Mom, in that gap in between queuing into the next match.
And they're having side conversations. They're like, all right, ready? They're looking at their watch going, okay, ready? One, sync watches. Okay, ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, boom, Mom. And they're like, what? And they're like, high five. Psh, got her.
One of them is like running in fear. It's like, no, don't talk to her yet. Not yet. Just wait. It's not a good time.
You'll tick her off. You'll make her mad. Don't go now.
She'll just say no to whatever we ask her for. Just wait till she gets out, and then pay close attention to whether or not she won or lost that match, and then carefully consider whether you really want to ask that question.
It's funny how, like, and I'm guilty of doing it actually to my wife, but like how you start learning how to try and game your mom, the woman in the house, because you know what ticks them off, what makes them happy, and so you're trying to do one and not the other, right? Like what I do the other day, I stepped in it big time. Like my wife's name's Eva. She hadn't slept good. She slept terrible, and of course, the kids all wake up at like 6 a.m, right? And so they're sitting there at dinner table, just like being their normal selves, and I'm sitting there looking at them, about to walk out the door. I said, "Listen up," and they're like, "What?" And I said, "Your mom slept terribly. You need to be on your best behavior, or she will like eat your soul." Or something like that. And they're looking at me and they're kind of like suspicious, like, why do we care? Kind of thing. And I'm like, no, seriously, your day will go bad if you're not on your best behavior. And I said, in fact, you just need to be perfect. And my second daughter looks at me and goes, Dad, nobody's perfect.
The realist.
And I'm like, okay, fine. I get that. You're not wrong, but try to be as close to perfect as you can be. So like I go off to work, forget about everything that was said, and I get a text message. It's just like, so what's this business about saying that I'm going to like bite their heads off and treat them bad if they're not perfect?
Oh, no.
I'm like, and it's just kind of like, okay. So we don't do this again.
Over honest children. Gotta love it.
Dad said we had to be perfect or you'd be really mad at us all day.
It's just like, work with me.
Exactly this. It's not truly what I was getting at. I was just saying, give your mom a break. You love her, right? Come on, she's your mother.
For your own safety and healthy and happiness. Seriously. Yeah, Don does that all the time, but he usually does it when I'm standing right there. He's like,
yeah. Because then you can kind of like both look at him like Dad said that. Do you agree, Mother? Yes,
exactly.
Nod. And you're both looking at him, and so they feel the intensity and the magnitude of the situation.
Exactly.
So, I think we should talk about some Quest Druid because we're waxing eloquent, if you will.
Yes, right. I'm excited to hear all about it. I want to know like what the mulligan is good like and the matchups and the everything.
All right, well, let's I got 2 deck lists here, and it's sort of kind of I think Quest Druid has been one of the decks in the meta, relevant decks, I could say, even since the expansion dropped, that has seen a lot of iteration. That's the first thing you got to know is there's a bunch of different ones out there because there's a lot of good cards in the deck. The deck that I like the most, and I'm going to probably spend the most time talking about it, it's one I played the most, and I played a lot of different ones, is Mr. Yagut's Quest Druid. Here's the list before we get going, is Innervate. Innervate is kind of in there. more or less. I mean, you can cheat mana out, but with this deck, Quest Druid, if you played it at all, cheating is not necessarily kind of what you're really trying to go for. You use Innervate probably as much as anything, and I actually keep it in the mulligan if I'm going on turn 1, as I play Quest, Innervate, and just let it go. So I have mana that I'm floating. Incidentally, floating mana, and I'm used to the term a lot, means it's mana that's unspent.
Every single time if they go second, I see them play the quest and then play the coin.
Has untapped potential. It has just one, though. It has 2 Worthy Expeditions, which is the card that allows you to discover a choose one card. Awesome card. Love that card.
So that's your turn 2 play. You can play it and then float back.
You play it. Because it's only one. So turn 1 quest, ideally coin or innervate. Turn 2, untapped potential. Turn 3, well, we'll get to that in a minute. So you have Worthy Expedition, and I'm forgetting right now.
I'm gonna make you look it up.
You look it up while I talk.
These cards, honestly,
I forget.
I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
I'm forgetting it.
I'll look it up.
No. I was looking at it, going, "Dang, I know that card," and I'm blanking out on it for a minute. But I'll progress on if you look it up real quick. So Blood Mage Thalnos. You're like, why Blood Mage Thalnos? Well, as far as I can see it, Blood Mage Thalnos is up to his usual Blood Mage Thalnos-y tricks, meaning he's actually pretty good for board clear. He helps out a lot. And if nothing else, you can drop him on the board, like on turn 3, if you have nothing better to do, just to draw a card.
Grant. Untapped Potential is the name of the quest.
I'm a smart person. Eve, can we edit this out? No, we're not gonna edit it out. I'll just take it on the chin.
Oh,
it is dumb. Well, because I just think it's the quest.
Right? Yeah.
It's the quest, right? You know what's funny? It's funny that we say this because I remember specifically thinking today while I was playing, it's like, I just realized, man, I don't know the names of the cards. I know what they do because, they always say that the devs even say like people recognize cards by the picture, but they don't always think about what the names are. And I thought, what is the name of the quest? And I looked, Untapped Potential. That'll come in handy later. Oh boy. Well, I at least have an excuse of it being later, and it's the end of a work week.
Untapped.
Right. Yeah, I know. It's
which
so
those
bad.
of you who have played Magic the Gathering know, in order to get mana, you tap lands. So untapped lands.
And Eve, I almost got away with it too if it weren't for you meddling kids. I just kind of glossed over it because I couldn't remember.
So sorry, it's my fault.
It's all good. So your best turn 3 play is coming up, which is 2 Crystal Merchants. Crystal Merchants, the 1/4 that if you have any mana left over in a turn, you draw a card.
Gosh,
you can draw cards and
so
add
health.
infinitum.
Like
it's hard to kill.
It's really hard to kill, and Druid pulls so many cards before you can finally kill it that I seriously think it needs to be nerfed. Remember how the rogue card had to go down a health because it was so hard to remove?
Oh, you mean the lackey? The evil miscreant?
That's how I feel about this. Because the miscreant at least only gives you, one? Does it give you 1 if it combos?
It gives you 2 lackeys. No, it gives you 2 lackeys.
But that's just like it's down, and unless they bump it back into their hand, that's all it's done, right? This continues to give you a card every turn you have untapped mana. It's just like...
For an epic card, it's incredible.
It's really good, guys.
It's a soft taunt, basically. If you can drop it on 3, that's your best turn 3 play in most cases. Power of the Wild, which is the one that either gives you the 3/2 Panther, buffs all your minions +1/+1. Wrath, good for removal, good for drawing cards. It's actually really good for removal when you can do 4 damage to something and draw a card later in the game. Zephyrus the Great, we all know what he does. Ferocious Howl. Now this is this particular card I find very interesting in this deck, and I haven't seen anybody run it except for Yagut. I'm sure more people are running it, but it really, because you don't spend a lot of cards because your goal for the first 4 turns is floating mana. And the weird thing is, and it's such an odd way to play Hearthstone, is you're floating mana, so you're really not doing much for the first couple turns, so it's not hard to get a bigger hand. And if you can play Ferocious Howl like on turn 4, because it's 3-cost card, you can get a good amount. You draw a card, you cycle your deck, and you get some staying power because you're going to take it on the chin for a little bit. War Druid Lodi, which is the one that does all the things. Forbiddeness Floop, which is super good in control mirrors. Swipe. Swipe's not in every deck, but there's one in this deck. Swipe's just good for board clear. Anubisat Defender, which is the 3/5 with taunt. If you cast a spell that costs 5 or more, it's free. Pretty good card, so it's not aggro. At least the Enlightened, I have a golden one because I got it free with my
I've
pre-order.
never seen that played. Like, what kind of function does that
At least the Lighten?
serve?
If you have no duplicates in your deck, she copies your hand. So whatever's in your hand, she doubles it up for you.
Okay.
So where she's super good is later in the game when you have Chef Nomi in hand.
You get 2 Chef Nomi.
And you have Flobidness Floop in your hand. And you're playing that warrior who's just going to want to keep clearing your board. Because you see, warriors can never really get a lot of board pressure. At least not, they can't do the board pressure you can. So you have Nomi and Flobidness Floop. You wait late game. You drop Elise. Now you have another Nomi and another Flobidness Floop. Drop Nomi. And now he'll clear it. Drop your other Nomi. He'll clear that. And then you drop Flobidness Floop, which is Nomi. And you have 4 Nomis.
Holy crap.
They can't deal with 4 of that because everything you've done up to that point is they have to clear your board. You can put a lot of crap on the board, especially with my favorite card, which is Nexus Oasis Surger. It's the card in my opinion that makes the deck.
Yeah, it's an amazing card for sure.
I actually keep Oasis Surger in my opening hand because I would and here's why. Because by the time you get to where you can play it, you really almost done nothing for the most part, and you need to clear a board. What's better than clearing a board with 2 minions that are hard to kill?
2/5/5.
So yeah, you take out 2 of their minions, 2 5/5s with rush, and then they probably should get rid of those because you can also heal them with your hidden Oasis spell, which gives you a taunt and you can heal your minions if you need to. Or if they don't kill it, then you can cast Starfall on its heals, which is 2 of those in the deck as well. There's 2 Nourishes, which are just good. The way Nourish is always good, except for being able to draw 2 cards and get 2 mana is pretty dope. So like you can play Nourish, draw a bunch of cards, and get more mana, and then play Oasis Surger or Starfall or something like that. Chef Nomi, which I've already mentioned, and Cenarius. Cenarius is probably the best he's ever been in this deck. You drop Cenarius, you get 2 4/4s with taunt plus a 5/8 Cenarius body. That's pretty darn good for 9 mana. And if you play him with Floop in your hand, you can do that and then drop him again. And if you have him in your hand when you play Elise, it's really dumb. So late game, this deck can get stupid late game. Where it struggles is hyper aggro. So if you're dealing with like a Zoo deck and they get a big wide board real early, you can't beat them. They're just gonna smash you in the face. Which point in time, and I'm kind of blurring my points. But the way you play aggro and the reason that this deck has swipe in it and stuff like that is one of the ways you survive is you sometimes have to sacrifice a tick, especially in an aggro match. You just have to think, well, I don't get to have my awesome quest being complete, but if I don't deal with this minion now, I'm dead. It's going to kill me. Make sure that if you save your removal, like for example, if you have to play a Wrath and you're playing against Murloc, save it for War Leaders and stuff like that. Stuff you're going to have to get rid of, or else you're just toast. So if I'm playing, let me see here. So Eve asked me a question, and I'll just kind of tee me up, and I'll give you sort of a.
Well, I haven't seen this one. The one that I've been playing a lot, I think, is the other one because it's got bees and Druid of the Scythe and other stuff in it. But I was going to ask, do you ever drop War Druid Lodi if you don't have the quest yet?
Depends. If it's an aggro one, he's a 1/6 with taunt. So if it's like Zoo or Paladin, basically anything Shaman, Warlock, or Paladin, I'm putting that down. Rogue is actually really slow these days comparatively in terms of getting minions out, so I don't do that with Rogue. In fact, Rogue is one of the better matchups. You can handle Rogue pretty easy. I've like crushed Rogue with this deck pretty much over and over again. Warrior, this deck does really good against. Rogue, it does really good against. It actually fares pretty well against Quest Shaman, but if they get the nuts draw and they have their quest complete by turn 4, you lose. But I think that's with any deck. They beat any deck that way.
I just try and hold on to all of the removal that I can when I get spells offered to me in different random spells against Druid.
Right.
Because they're going to have a wide board.
Have to.
That's just going to happen, and you can't do anything about it.
Yep. Yep. You sure can. They sure can. So I mean, like, it's kind of the thing is like this Druid deck, at least Mr. Yagut's one, it doesn't do very well against hyper aggro, but it does pretty good against everything else. I mean, I'm 13-5.
How do you feel against Priest?
Just depends. I mean, if they get, on turn 5 they get a 36-36, then I feel pretty ticked off. But that's not because I think the matchup was bad. I just think that Divine Spirit Inner Fire needs to go into the Hall of Fame or get nerfed out of existence. Because why is it that every time, ever notice that? And this is me ranting for a second. Every time they nerf something, guess what deck comes out? Every time. Inner Fire, Divine Spirit, or Divine Spirit, Inner Fire. They go
back to their
every single time.
Wheelhouse.
It's
like last resort Priest.
Well, it's just because it's like, well, I wonder if I can make this work, because I don't know. It's just every time they nerf cards, that's what you see. It starts coming out. I mean, people have been, what was it, Cora? She put out a list. She said, yeah, made early legend with a Bwan Samdi Priest something or other deck, like how, Bwan Samdi hasn't seen the light of day since it was released. Yep. Apparently Priest is okay now, but when I start seeing Inner Fire, I mean, I don't mind Priest being good, but if it's revolving around that same tired old strategy where I have to sit there and actually clear every minion you put down because the next thing I know it's going to be a 36-36, that's not the game I want to play, you know what I mean? Or against. It's just really chintzy, I think. So, anyways, I digress.
Yeah, I agree.
And I know this is my opinion.
It's been around for a long time, and I've also actually heard a lot of talk about putting mind control tech into the Hall of Fame as well.
Yeah, that one needs to go.
It's another card that's very frustrating. To make a big board and then to have somebody steal one of your cards, or if it's Shaman with the quest up, then 2 of your cards. Mm-hmm. And Mind Control in Priest is 10 mana.
Yeah, that it's 10 mana to take a minion. So why is it that and especially with like Shaman will do the thing where they do it twice. If your board's big enough, they'll take 2 of them, and then they'll do Shudderwalk, and they'll take it again. Gosh. You know what I mean? So it's like,
I forgot about Shudderwalk.
I mean, that can just be, that'll just tilt you off the planet. So I don't know. I'm ranting a little bit. So I mean, this deck, the way you play this deck, generally speaking, if you're on turn 1, you basically your mulligan is going to be you keep the quest. If you're on turn 1, keep an Innervate. Keep Worthy Expedition. Keep Crystal Merchant. Those are the ones that are like always keeps. I actually really like, if I know that I'm playing a board, like if it's like Paladin, Shaman, or Warlock. Sometimes if it's offered to me, I'll keep, I'm not mulliganing for it, but if it's offered to me, I'll sometimes keep Starfall or Swipe. Because generally what happens is they'll have a board by the time my quest is finished, right? And I need to get rid of that board or I'm dead. I don't usually keep it all the time. I don't look for it, but a lot of times I also keep Oasis Surger if it's offered to me. Because as soon as my quest's done, that's the first thing I want to play because I can clear stuff and start presenting threats. Now, I think the best way to play it is to play it to where you're doing something on each turn. Maybe nothing super aggressive, but you're doing something. Sometimes I've played, like on turn 3, I've played Power of the Wild just so I could have a 3/2 that they needed to deal with. Crystal Merchant's the best because it's like a soft taunt and you draw a card, at least a card. Oftentimes you get more than one, especially like against classes that don't have a ton of removal and they're relying on minions to remove stuff. In the late game decks that are slower, easy. In the mirror, your goal is to complete that quest as fast as you can. If you're the first one to complete the quest, just start putting stuff on the board. You have to maintain tempo and initiative. You lose initiative, you probably lose the game. So that's basically the nuts and bolts of that.
Have you played the other one at all?
Yeah, I played them both. Now the other deck,
Feoris.
Yeah, I'll talk. King Feoris, you use him the same way you use Nomi with Forbiddeness Floop and things like that. The thing I didn't like about it is if you look at this list is exactly the same as the other one with some couple notable exceptions. It does not have Swipe, Elise the Enlightened, Zephyrus the Great, Ferocious Howl, or Blood Mage Thanos. Now, Elise, Ferocious Howl, and Zephyrus and Thanos are all card generating things, right? They help you cycle your deck a little better. Bees, Druid of the Scythe, Keeper of the Grove, and King Phaoris are the subs. So those are the alt cards. I would say everything else is sort of canon. This is what you do to play this deck. Core, I guess would be the better word. Bees is more removal. It's actually pretty good against I like it better against faster decks. Druid of the Scythe, also good against faster decks because you can remove a threat for 3 mana. So it's a good turn 3 play, or turn 4 play rather. Also, it can become a 2/4. So again, it's a taunt. Keeper of the Grove. Now that's a card I haven't seen in a long time. This is Frobro 45's Druid, by the way. I saw it on Twitter and I liked it. It's Keeper of the Grove, especially when you have if you know you're dealing with Paladin, because it does silence, right? A lot of Paladin and possibly Priest. If those two are showing up more than you'd like it to, that's not a bad inclusion. You could sub that out. The problem, and it does 2 damage and silent if you have the quest completed. The problem is it still seems like a weak card for a turn 4 play. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was gonna say or turn 5, but usually by that point you've gotten the quest done, right?
And yeah, but it's only one, so it's kind of like I have this kind of meh card in here for one. I don't really care for it. King Phaoris is awesome when he's awesome, but if you have had to if you're trying to play the game where you're doing all right, but you have to play stuff, use your spells, like you have to use Starfalls, you have to use Hidden Oasis and all that stuff, Nourish even. King Phaoris can be dead in your hand. You don't want to play a 10-cost card that only gives you like a 5/5 because you had, Worthy Expedition Innervate in your hand. So yeah, you get a couple penguins plus this 5/5 for 10.
Do you have anything that generates spells?
Well, Worthy Expedition can generate spells. It can give you a spell. There's not a whole lot here that you can do stuff with that generates spells.
I'm really wondering how the guy against me played King Phaoris and had like a board full of 5/5s.
Well, because he had Starfall in his hand, he probably had. It's not uncommon to get 3 Starfalls in a game, and 6 and Hidden Oasis, depending on how you pick from Worthy Expedition. Right,
because you've got 2
so it's
expeditions.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not uncommon. The problem is a lot of times, like late game, if you're lasting late into the game, odds are is you probably don't have a hand full of that stuff. Especially if you're not having Elise. If you don't have Elise the Enlightened in your deck, which this deck does not. This list does not have it. If you don't have Elise the Enlightened, you can't double any of that stuff. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it's kind of... That felt really clunky, and I'd never played it and was like, oh yeah, this is going to be amazing. There was like maybe once or twice, but generally speaking, it felt like a dead card. So that's when I started looking for lists again, and I found Mr. Yaguts, and it kind of, with maybe the exception of possibly Bees and Druid of the Scythe, those are the 2 cards I would consider swapping into Mr. Yaguts' list. But I really like Ferocious Howl because sometimes you're doing well, but if you just needed 6 more health or 7 more health, and that keeps you alive.
Yeah, I think if you're seeing a lot of aggro, probably go for Bees and Druid of the Scythe. But if you're seeing a lot of mid-range and control, then stick with your list.
Yeah, so, and I agree with you. Like, at least the Lightning could get subbed out. I think Zephyrus is still too good to not sub out because Zephyrus can, like, win you games that you may not have won. Like, you have, like, a decent amount of minions on board, but you don't quite have lethal. Well, you now have lethal. You know what I mean? I played I beat a Priest earlier today where he did a Paladin who did a bunch of stuff that put a taunt on a minion and like put Reborn on it and this and that. And then I'm like, oh, Zephyrus. And I silenced it. I just pulled a Spellbreaker out of Zephyrus because I knew that's what I'd get. And then I destroyed him. Man, and he was sad. Zephyrus can do that kind of stuff. The other thing is like, and I've misplayed it so many times, but Zephyrus, you kind of got to know what he can offer you. He only offers classic and basic cards. He doesn't offer class cards. I mean, he does, as long as they're classic or basic. But he doesn't offer like anything from the set. So a lot of times you're like, oh, he'll give me this card. It's like, oh wait, that's from a set. I can't. He didn't pull from there. So
bone up on your classic and basic
But
cards
anyways.
so you know what's available. And there's kind of a website already going on where people are like, this is what you'll get if you have this much mana. And, you know, there's people already checking out everything that he'll possibly do. So.
And using Elise to do Zephyrus or using Phlebinus Floop to do Zephyrus again can be because you can say, oh, Zephyrus, take the pyroblast them, Zephyrus. Especially if you're just kind of there having to deal with your board, you can just it can become a win more card, and sometimes it can be the exact answer you needed to silence their board, or you can get Bloodlust or.
Yeah, I'm trying really hard to remember that we're friends
want.
and I like you, Grant.
I think you would like playing this deck. It's just a weird way to play Hearthstone because you float mana for no less than 4 turns, right? You float mana, you kind of don't do much, and then you play from behind, and then you just have a lot of powerful turns, and eventually you either win or you die. I mean, I suppose that's stating the obvious, but you're either like surviving and you flip the game and you're on top, and then you just never let go. Or you're just dead already. Like you can see the game like, oh, there's like 6 Murlocs on the board and it's turn 3. Yeah, I'm not winning. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've definitely played against it quite a few times at rank 9 with Quest Shaman. So
yeah.
I should check it out. I should. I don't think that I have Elise. So how key? Because I think I have everything else on this list except for her. How key do you think she is?
I don't think she's crucial. I think if there's a lot of hyper control, she's really good because she can double a lot of your stuff. Like I was telling you, she can make it to where you can have a bunch of floops and nomis and you just don't die. You just don't ever not have an amazing board. But I don't think she's super crucial. I think that I could see a world where I'd rather sub in like a bees, you know, have everything I have, but put in bees.
Okay, so how crucial is Phlebinus Floop?
Just for more removal. He's pretty darn. I don't know that he would call him crucial, but he's pretty darn good. Like he can give you another Oasis Surger. So Oasis Surger next turn, Oasis Surger again. Except this time they're 5/6s. He can do a lot of really good work for you, especially if you need another Zephyrus. Especially if you need. I mean, the stuff that I always use him for is I'll copy Elise, I'll copy Cenarius, I'll copy Nomi, and I'll copy Oasis Surger. Sometimes if it's like a real tight aggro match where I might survive, I'll just throw a Nubasath Defender, the 3/5, you know. I'll just throw him in there, but or War Druid Lodi if it's a big giant minion that I just want to kill it. You know. I like War Druid Lodi. I don't know. That's the thing is this is an expensive list. I mean, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is that, am I counting it? 6, 7. There's 7 legendaries in this deck. And an untapped potential, which is
right. Because
I remember that it's this quest, you know. So, yeah, it's just 7 legendaries in it. That's a lot of legendaries. But, I mean, that's a lot of dust, so 7,000 plus. So, yeah, it's like 10,000. It's upwards of 10,000 dust.
Cenarius
that's a lot of dust.
Legendary. Chef Nomi is legendary.
Yep.
Elise is legendary. Is Phlebinus Floop legendary? War
Yep.
Druid Lodi.
So is Lodi.
Zephyrus,
so is Zephyrus.
Blood Mage Thalnos. And
Blood Mage and the quest.
Yeah.
Then you got Crystal Merchant is epic. Anubasath Defender, I believe, is epic. And that's it. Everything else is rare and common.
Yeah, so
it's not cheap.
Out of like War Druid Lodi, Phlebinus Floop, and Elise, you would like Phlebinus.
Yeah, he's the most versatile
because
he can give you the Surgers, he can double your Chef Nomi, he can double your Cenarius. It just depends. Like I think they're all important because I know application where they've saved my bacon quite a few times, but I don't. It's hard to know which one is the most important because it's all situational. You know what I mean? Because sometimes it's Lodi that I would think is the best card. Because Lodi, but then Lodi is made more powerful by Flute because I can do Lodi 1 and Lodi 2. You know what I mean? I can do Zephyrus 1. Like, what did I do today? Zephyrus 1 to buff my minions and clear his board. Zephyrus number 2 to silence the big giant huge minion they put in the way to kill him. That was how it went.
Yikes.
That was earlier today. Yeah, it's pretty stupid that you can do that.
Well,
so it's up to you. I mean, it depends. If like I wouldn't even craft it if you didn't think you'd like playing it though. It's kind of a mid-rangey, late game-ish kind of deck, but it has a lot of answers. Like Druid has a lot of answers and a lot of card draw, so you can get the train rolling pretty good.
And it is, decently
fun, though.
enough
I really like
minion heavy that it's not a complete control deck. I kind of
it's not
don't
a control
work
deck.
well with control decks. But
it's kind of mid-rangey, but it's just such a weird deck because I just can't think of very many decks where you float mana as
I
often
think
as
Druid's
you do.
the only
Warrior
one that can do
floats
it.
mana, but not for the same
and
reason.
it's almost frustrating to play
Maybe.
against them because you're like, they shouldn't be able to be behind for 4 turns and then catch up and then go past you and destroy you. Like,
yeah. I think even like now that I'm looking at this and comparing them, I think I would probably, especially if I'm seeing Hunter, and with all the Shaman and Paladin running around, I think I would probably sub out Bees for Thalmos. Maybe 1 Bees, and maybe even the Swipe. I'm not sure. I really like Elise. Elise has been doing work for me. Ferocious Howl, maybe you take 1 of those out. That might be the way to go with that. So 2 Bees, keep the Swipe. So that way I have the removal. Because that's just the sucky part is, the cool thing about Bees is it's a turn 3 removal. That makes sense? So against a faster deck, being able to do something on turn 3 rather than turn 4. Because if you have the coin, you play it. You do quest, coin. Always do that. Because the sooner you get that quest done, the more likely chance you are to stay alive. But Bees helps you maintain.
Yeah, every time I've seen it, it's been really good.
already...
And they usually have like a couple bees left over because they're just killing like, one of the Murlocs or something.
Well, killing that, what's that Murloc that is it the Tide Caller, the one that like grows every time it gets more attack every time? Like that needs to be dealt with. You can't leave that there or they're going to hit you in the dome for 8 and then you just can't recover because then all the other stuff's coming. So, yeah, anyways, so I like this deck. And the Quest Druid is my favorite deck of the expansion by far. Like there's not even a close second right now. Close second would probably be Reno Hunter. I like Reno Hunter a lot. And I say Reno Hunter, I mean Highlander or Singleton Hunter. Because I just like branding out King Crush and smacking people for 7 because that just feels good. I mean, that's super good if you think about it because Crush is 9 normally.
I'm going to have to take a look at it.
Too cheap.
Because I don't know how many of these. I have a feeling that I've dusted a couple of these. I think I may have dusted Phlebinus Floop. And I think I got a Golden King Phaeorus and dusted that. But he's not in your list anyway, so that's fine.
I don't think... I crafted King Phaeorus because I really wanted to try him and see if it was possible. The problem is I just feel like with some of the aggressive lists on the board that he just is too slow. You're using your spells to stay alive. You're using your spells to cycle your deck. And by the time you get to where you reasonably could cast him, if you're behind, you still lose. And if you're ahead, well, does it matter? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If
you don't have a way to like generate spells, then it seems like he wouldn't be very good.
No. And he's a neutral. So on the one hand, he is neutral. So he could be used in other applications. But I think the deck is really strong kind of as it stands. Another possible card you could put in is what's that card? It's a Tauren card. It's a 6-cost card. What is it? It's let me look it up here real quick. It's Tending Tauren. It's the choose one, give your other minions +1/+1 or summon two treants. So what it is, it's a 6-drop 3/4 with 3/3 treants. Pretty good for 6, really. I mean that's really good for 6 mana. You can discover that off of Worthy Expedition. That can be a really strong play too. But it's also a good card. You can put that card has been put in a lot of these decks. So if you don't have it, and it's not an expensive card, you don't have Elise, you don't have Floop, you could just try throwing those in. I built a deck for my oldest daughter. She wanted to play this deck. She think it's really fun. Because she played me the other day. She said, "Dad, can I borrow your deck?" So she used it. And she said, "This deck's awesome." So, because she smoked me with it, because she completed the quest faster than I did. So if my 10-year-old daughter can beat me fair and square, completing the quest early, then you know it's the right thing.
Go all out on the quest in the mirror.
Either that, or I just really suck at Hearthstone.
Multiple Legend says either that or I suck at Hearthstone. Yeah.
Well,
you taught your daughter well.
You know, there's. Now she has become the master.
Yep, we were going there. The apprentice has become the master.
Welcome.
You can feel proud of being a good teacher.
There can only be one Sith. 2 Sith, apprentice and master, and then one has to kill the other. Anyways, so I think that's kind of it in a nutshell. I enjoy these decks. I don't know if they're quite literally the best decks. I know they're kind of ranked in the top decks as like the top 4 or 5. But I'm 13-6, I think, with it. 13-6. So it's a 66 better than 66% average, which is very good for ladder play.
Especially where you're at. I mean, that's a good place to be too, testing this out.
I'm just about at 6. I'm curious to know if it'll be able to do anything past 5. But we'll see. Time will tell. Well, let's see. We've been at this for a little while, so I guess we probably should wrap up the show.
Good. I think we did.
Eve, where can people... What? Good job there.
Job's done.
Good job. Job's done. Let's see here. So, Eve, where can people find you if they want to connect with you on the internet?
They can find me at Twitter, on Twitter, at Loremaster Eve. My BattleNet is Loremaster Eve 1974. I kind of apologize to our listeners because whenever I tick that box that says allow friends to spectate your games, I always get a bunch of people spectating, and I think they're looking for to do their quest, spectate and win a pack. But it really messes with me. Like, I'm just going to be honest with you guys. I overthink everything, and I get super tilted and, like, awkward and uncomfortable, and
no longer, they suddenly realize they're not spectating your quest anymore because you kicked them.
I don't kick people because I can't do that. I'm too, like, that. See, it goes beyond, like, politeness to me to kick someone, but as soon as they stop spectating, I definitely uncheck the box. So I'm not going to do it anymore to myself because I know what it does to me. I just know my limitations, and I know that if I know someone's watching, it just gets into my head.
I don't remember who it was. I was getting spectated the other day, and I was just totally just brainlessly playing Hearthstone. But I was playing against a priest that had the quest, so when they do, every time they heal, they get their quest ticked off. And I kept attacking their face with my crystal wardens. And I was just like, I did it once. I'm like, oops, I like did the oops thing. And then the crystal merchants. So I ticked them, and they had like what's that card that every time a character's healed, it gets like a +2 attack? It's the
like Light Warden or something.
Light Warden. That's what it is. Light Warden. They had a Light Warden out, and I attacked face. And then I realized what I'd done. I was like, oops, and he healed. And so I we went to the next turn, and I did it again. I just brainlessly just like flicked upwards on with my phone, and I stopped. And I thought about it, and I just shame conceded right there. And then I'm like, I am an idiot. I just totally deserve to lose this game. I'm just going to shame concede. And somebody was spectating me, and I'm like, sorry, dude, you're trying to get your pack. I said, I'm playing like absolute garbage right now. It's like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you play. It's like, I felt bad that they assumed that they thought they were making me play bad. But it's not what it was at all. I was just brainlessly playing. I didn't care if they were watching because I'm used to being in front of people under pressure.
Teacher,
that's not,
so that's
not a big deal. Well, I'm a musician. Getting up and playing music in front of people is very stressful. And so playing a video game, I didn't invest any time. This, queue up a new game, no big deal, right? But like when you spend months on a piece that you don't want to suck in front of, 100 people for a recital or something like that, that's where the pressure comes. So I'm used to it. You know what I mean?
It destroys me.
And I still get nervous.
I get so self-conscious. And, I think part of it is tied up with having the podcast and wanting to appear legit, wanting to appear like I know what I'm talking about and I'm a good player, and like just having somebody watch me, I'm like, I feel judged and yeah, it just messes with me. It just throws me right off. So
Well, the internet doesn't help, right? The internet is constantly like, if you're not a god at this game, then you will be heckled out of your own show. You know what I mean? It's
that being said, though, like our community is so
our community
wonderful
doesn't
that
do
I
that.
really don't have a reason to feel like I do. Because I've never gotten
Yeah.
like somebody be mean to me at Hearthstone about like you're a bad player or you're not legend or anything like that. It's all in my own head, but I do know my own limitations and I know it messes with me. So I've just decided I'm not going to go there. Maybe at some point in time, I'll get to the point where I'm better and I'm more confident and I don't have a problem with people spectating me. But at the moment, that's where I'm at.
That could be a long journey, so don't be in a hurry.
Yeah, probably.
Anyways, if you want to find me, you can go to Twitter at WatchmanHS. I've been posting a lot of deck lists from whoever I think has either an interesting deck list or even if it's a priest deck list or something like it. I'll post it because I like interesting decks and I'm even tempted to play some. I'll probably play a game and they go, oh, what was I thinking? That was dumb. So let's see. You can connect with me in game at Watchman #1140. If you want to connect with the show, go to velenschosen.com. All our links are there for Discord, Patreon, and stuff. If you want to support the show, you can support us monetarily via patreon.com/VelensChosen podcast. Any pennies or dollars are very appreciative at this point in time. Pseudo Ping, Jamie S., thank you so much for your continued support. We really appreciate you and all that you've done for the show. We need to get you back on. I say that the last few weeks. We just need to make it happen. Schedules being what they are, I get it.
Our 200th
so
episode's
difficult.
coming up, and we've been trying to get something together. Not going to say anything, no spoilers, but yeah, we've been trying to do stuff. So time zones and people and things, but we'll get along to it. And yeah, I do want to say thank you
Time
to our
zones are legit.
Patreon supporters because you're the reason I was able to get the Adventures bundle, and I just really appreciate it when things like that happen and it helps us play the game we love. That's cool.
True story. And anyways, I guess that does it for the show. So this is 199. The next one will be the 200 episode. Now, when that episode is recorded is yet to be seen.
We'll let you know what's
because we want to make it good.
When we figure out what's happening.
I mean, obviously it's not going to be postponed a month, but we're going to figure that out. So there might be some shenanigans. Let's just call it that.
Yeah.
Shenanigans. Because we want to make it a good episode, and because it's 200 episodes, so a lot of podcasts never make it this far. So yet here we are. So community, thank you for being awesome. You guys are guys and gals, people out there. You're all valuable to us in your contributions. Thank you for helping us have a show that's lasted this long. So that does it for episode 199. Eve, sign us off.
Not all who wander are lost. Bye, everybody.
Happy Druiding.
I foresaw this.
Did I miss it?
Bet you didn't know that was a word.
I don't think it is.
Look it up. Google it. No, don't do that. It's not a word.
Stop streaming.
Stop.
Yes.
Stop.
Yes,
Let's
I
see.
do.
Stop.
I want to stop.